Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Tech Frenzy. Today, we're doing the market futures. Going to be talking about that as well as what I'm doing with my own portfolio. Spend a little time together, talk about some stocks as we head into a very important week. If you guys don't know, on Wednesday, we have the decision of the FOMC on the Fed rate cut, hoping for 25 basis points worth of cuts. That is what the Fed is currently projected at doing. 88.4% chance of cutting, 11.6% chance of no cut. That is also backed by prediction markets holding up a very similar rate of 80 to 90% on the chance of cuts, backed just not by prediction, but backed by people's dollars. So hopefully that is the real expectation. Hello all. Hello from Portugal. What's up? Okay. There's never anything going on to do a future show. It's more of a side project. I wanted to come on. We can stare at the candles, but really, I just wanted to come on and talk to you guys about a move that I'm going to be making. If you guys haven't seen some of the newer videos that I've been uploading talking about SoFi's dilution, if I want to see what the candles are for tomorrow, if there's still pressures, which I don't think that there will be. I actually think that SoFi is going to be green throughout the week. The reason is the rate cut. Okay, so there was a 7% sell-off on SoFi stock, and the reason for the sell-off was dilution, which should have negatively impacted the stock, maybe 4.8% for the full amount of the dilution, but that's assuming that they get nothing back. Like if they just diluted by 4.8% and received nothing, then that would be a reason for the dilution. On the other hand, what we ended up getting is 4.8% dilution and $1.7 billion in cash. So, if you think that SoFi is going to be a good steward of that capital and potentially invest that to make a better return than what they've seen previously, and essentially what Anthony Noto has said is that they're going to dilute if they feel like it's accretive to the business, right? A lot of banks will do this, and a lot of the bigger banks are actually buying up, more stock and not diluting because, well, they're just a little too big for that these days. There's not as many avenues or asset classes for them to continuously pour money into that would be worth more than them just buying back their own stock to, accelerate earnings per share. So let's see here. SoFi has lost all trust with me. It's a horrible lying management, more honest companies to invest in. I don't agree with this take. What should they have told you? I think that really what ended up happening is that they got caught asking about if they were going to raise or not. And they said, hey, we don't see a reason to raise right now. Like we're not going to raise. What I think is probably going to be what we end up hearing next. Remember, they're not like, people are saying like, oh, this is what's holding down retail investors and stuff like this. They are impacted more. This is impacting the institutions that were holding it. This was impacting the the indexes that were holding it. So I don't agree with this whole thesis of completely lost like that it was bad in a certain way. I do agree that the next time that they raise capital or say that they're not going to raise capital, I'm not going to believe them. Doesn't mean that they will, but it's just, hey, let's wait and see. They're going to take, the best action at the time that is needed. That's the important part. But I don't think that it's like a lie. Sounds like it was not in good faith. And that's not what I think is happening. So I think that they are going to make more money than previously. But also, you guys can do whatever you want. I don't really care. I don't have to, defend it in that sort of way. But we're going to be taking a look at the stock's reaction, and I think I ended up using PayPal. I ended up tweeting about this, but I ended up using PayPal over the weekend, or maybe it was on Friday or something. But it was just the most seamless process ever. I just can't get over how good it felt using them versus the alternative, which was because I wasn't on, I wasn't on a Shopify store or Amazon or whatever. I was on an individual retail like business because I was buying some products for my girlfriend, and they had two checkouts. Sign in and pay with a card, and I don't have an account to this, female branded e-commerce store. So the other one was pay with PayPal. I said, okay, I'll pay with PayPal. And it immediately knew my name, my address. It had my cards on file already. And it also offered me buy now, pay later. And so I just said, okay, I'll pay with PayPal, try out this buy now, pay later thing because I haven't used it. And I'm an investor in the business. And so I wanted to see what that was like. And it just said, these are the terms. Do you accept? And it was completely interest free. And so I was like, okay, they'll take it out automatically to the card that's already on file. And here we go. So I paid, and now it's on the way, the product. That being said, there's a difference whenever you find a product that you think works and even the stock that you think is undervalued, and then when the market will actually value that discount. Whenever I put up the discount on PayPal and I say, okay, you know what, the product's great, customers are going to be sticking around, like things are looking positive, but payments is a nasty business right now with stablecoins in the way. Everyone believes that because Apple Pay even remotely has a product, that means that people aren't using PayPal. That's also negatively affecting the stock. And so I've been wanting to consolidate down into names that I believe in more and more. And so I'm just going to have to trim PayPal and put that into SoFi. Not that I don't have faith in PayPal. I like their products. I like the space. I like the valuation completely. But I want less names, and I want names that are working, and I want names with catalysts. And SoFi has many catalysts of future interest rates and potentially even one here on Wednesday. They just got a massive capital boost that has a discount on it. Like I can get the stock with more money at a cheaper price than where it was before the dilution. And we're going into 2026 with all this additional capital with the management that you guys don't have to trust. I personally trust. Okay. Not for them to tell me what their next move is. And by the way, that has never been, Anthony Noto's strength. Communication has always been lacking at SoFi. Okay. That said, we are going into the candles right now, and SoFi is immediately green. So let's see if that holds. Very, very small volume. Okay. So this doesn't mean too much for whenever the market actually opens, but let's see what's moving. Rigetti up 1.4%. Let's see, what are the big ones? Vertiv down 2.2%. Next decade up 1.6%. Navan down that's not actually real. That was not 24-hour markets. Cypher Mining up 1.3%, 1.35% now. Fubo up 1.75%. Let's try to find some of the bigger names here. Meta, flat on the day. Nvidia, flat as well in pre-markets. And Tesla down roughly 0.6%. Apple's flat. Yeah, it's not too exciting. Toast up 1.8%. That's a little surprising considering some people thought that they were going to be entered into the S&P 500. I don't even think they were eligible. But what were some of the other companies that people thought were going to get it? Oh, wait, Carvana. Carvana did get in. Seems to be accelerating even in 24-hour markets after pumping up on the announcement. They're getting a little bit of an additional boost right now. So we'll see. Sitting here at $442. Let's see. A fix got in, right? Comfort Systems. I don't even think they have 24-hour markets. These are the types of companies getting in. SMR up 1.36%. Norwegian Cruise Lines up 0.4%. What are you guys seeing? CoreWeave, that's a good one. I think Nebius also got a short report, if I'm correct on that. We'll see. Flat on the day, 0.2%. Coca-Cola up 1.1%. Lyft up 0.7%. Let's see. The higher tax returns will be nice for Toast and Shift4. Good call. You know what? Even Chime, which does not have 24-hour markets, makes sense. Brand new company. No one is paying attention to this business either. I'm doing more and more due diligence on this business. Been watching every single call with Chris Britt and everything, trying to figure out if this management is going to lead me to the promised land. But I don't know. It's definitely not something I'm super stoked on, Chime. Like, it's one of those things where it's clearly undervalued here from the information that I'm doing or the research that I'm doing. But some of the growth rates that they're expected to put up in Q4, we'll have to see what they guide for in 2026. But and until we see what they end up guiding for next year, I don't know if I can make some extremely large bet on this business until then. It's just too new of a company. Q4 growth rates, I think, are expected to be at like 20 to 23% growth. That's coming down from 30% before, and then the years prior were like 40+%. So it's definitely not the right trend that you want to see. Whereas SoFi, you're actually seeing accelerated growth rates, and so I'm just so happy to just double down on that. Oklo, flat. Coinbase, also flat. I also haven't checked, just for our own perspective, where Ethereum is. 3,000 BTC. Bitcoin's at 90,473. Sentinel-1 up 1.1%. All right, little recovery after some pretty disappointing earnings, but long way to go to get back to where they were before earnings. $14.69. Maybe a discount if you guys liked it there at 17. ServiceNow up 0.3%. There will be a, I think it's 10 for 1 stock. No, 5 for 1. 10 for 1? 5 for 1? Stock split. 5 for 1. Yeah, okay. Getting it confused with some other names. 5 for 1 stock split on ServiceNow. Doesn't actually change anything fundamentally on the business. Maybe there might be a little bit more options volume, but you know, it is a good sign, and usually stocks do run on that news. Iran up 0.7%. That's pretty interesting. Where's Wolf at? Flat. TerraWolf is flat. All right. Arista Networks up 0.4. Carvana up 10.55%. Okay. That probably is literally the biggest mover. In after hours, Marvell down 3.5%, as some people thought that was going to get into the S&P 500, and probably should be. It's surprising that they weren't whenever I found that out. Schrödinger should also be in there as well. SBET up 2.15%, and BMNR, surprisingly, is not actually available in 24-hour markets on Moomoo. So they do have 24-hour markets, but just not on Moomoo for some reason. So don't use this product. I like the colors. It's good for stream. I don't use it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not going to just bash the company for no reason, but they've been pissing me off recently. So BMNR is at 34.76, up 2% in the after hours, thanks to Yahoo Finance. Okay. Can we do Webull? Yeah, so I was going to switch over to Webull, but I wanted to bring my watch list over. And some people said that I could export my watch list. From the research that I looked up, you can't do it on Moomoo. There's no way to export your watch list into another thing. They won't put it in a CSV or anything along those lines. I can see BMNR. Well, I also have to click this update button, so maybe I just haven't done that. Maybe it updated this week, but I can't see it. It just says post here. It needs to have this light gray tick beside it in order for it to be updated. But maybe it's updated. I don't know. The update just says bug fixes and performance improvements, so I don't know. Okay, Zeta. Zeta is roughly flat on the day, 0.16%. Robinhood up 0.5%. And One Stop Systems up 8.17%. Wow, that's a huge mover. I wonder if they got into a different index, like a part of the S&P. I didn't check any of the small cap inclusions. Maybe something like that had popped the stock up just in 24-hour markets. But it's $171 million market cap, so prices can switch pretty quickly. Okay. Is Amit okay? Usually, well, I can give him a call. I'm sure he is just busy. He immediately said that he's unavailable. You alive? People are asking about your safety. Okay. Let's see if he gets back to me. Are we buying more Meta here? Yeah, anything under like 680 for me, I think is an absolute buy. I honestly think that they should probably be closer to the 800s. So still, doesn't mean that like I want to buy at 799 or something like this. I do like a margin of safety. But yeah. He said he would be on a date with a dentist or something. Did he actually say that? That's very funny. Are we buying Grab? Does Grab have 24-hour markets? They probably do, right? Absolutely flat. It doesn't get flatter than 0.00. The trade desk back above $40.50. I mean, for the most part, guys, it was a pretty boring weekend in terms of new news. The only thing that really happened was the Trump call out on trade talks with Canada that said that that'll probably get started again. And then the Netflix Warner Brothers Studios merger or acquisition, I should actually say, which he said we might have a problem there. There might be problems, which people are getting a little bit worried. Actually, I should check on Netflix stock. Why haven't we not checked Netflix stock on that? Up 0.8%. There's a decent breakup fee, almost $6 billion. Trump stops that from going through. I can't imagine that's a good sign. But, okay, wait, hold on. Whoa. Little news here. Reuters just announced that Robinhood has acquired an Indonesian brokerage firm called Buana Capital Securities. Guys, you guys are going to butcher me. I'm so sorry, but I have zero Indonesian knowledge on how to say anything, so I apologize. The country has more than 19 million capital market investors and 17 million cryptocurrency traders. Robinhood has not disclosed the financial terms of the deal, which is expected to close in the first half of 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my gosh. Yes, they're pumping. Let's go. They're moving so fast. I can't get over it. How fast Vlad is moving. And if you guys watched The Compound recently, Vlad was just on that show, which, I actually really respect Josh Brown. I heard some comments saying like, oh, they weren't being very respectful to him. I just thought that they were treating him like anyone that they had questions about their business. So I actually thought it was a really good podcast. And, he is building something that's very, very unique. And in fact, he is there's so much new money involved with Robinhood there that I cannot help but love Vlad. And like, he started $100 billion business, $118 billion business, and you feel like he's newly rich. Like, it's very funny watching this show. But yeah. I recall Tevis said that the Vanguard is starting their crypto ETF today. They might be starting a crypto ETF, but they have actually opened up their clients to be buying other ETFs. That was this week. That already happened. I think they brought in $1 billion of Bitcoin inflows in the first hour. Yeah. Vlad is rather adorable. I mean, he's got some Johnny Depp vibes going on. Unless you just meant like his personality, in which I just outed myself. Vlad, bro, we can still be friends. You're just a little cute. Okay. Hood's global expansion thesis is why I bought in the 120s last week. So many places where Hood has not even touched yet. But completely. And if you sort of get into it from a crypto perspective, I think that they can move so fast with tokenized shares rather than just needing every single license from every government. Like, look how fast Coinbase entered 100+ different countries offering cryptocurrency. If Robinhood can do a similar thing, but instead of just offering people to purchase Bitcoin and Ethereum, which they still want to do, but instead offer them tokenized shares of US equities in the form of Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're running on Ethereum rails, but it's actually traded 1-to-1 in Apple stock or Coinbase stock or whatever you want to invest in. But hey, I think it's pretty cool. It's essentially like a stable coin, right? Except the stable part is actually essentially an equity coin. It would be tied 1-to-1 to the equities that are tied to it. Have you looked at Circle? In terms of tonight, have I looked at it? 0.9% on Circle. Not bad. But have I looked into the business? No, I don't really understand why people are giving them such an advantage. Obviously, you see the margins at these companies like Circle and Tether and stuff. It's like mind-blowing. But I also don't know what their competitive advantage is. And a bunch of people are saying, first mover's advantage. But I don't know if banks work that same way. Like, does a bank have first mover's advantage, or is it just whoever is offering the best rates going to win? Obviously, there's more to it than that. But I don't understand why SoFi can't enter the space, or PayPal USD is going to enter the space, or, these types of companies. And by the way, PayPal did enter the space and has grown extremely quickly. But the market is growing extremely quickly. So I think there's going to be a lot of winners. But just like, ChatGPT, if you've seen those market share charts, maybe I can bring that up. At first, it looked like ChatGPT had 100% of the market share of, some of these LLM models. And then as time has gone on, you realize that, okay, clearly there's not going to be one winner here. And there's going to be a lot of winners. Okay. Could the stablecoin rollout be the reason why SoFi raised so much cash? Maybe a percentage of it, but honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I don't think that it's that capital intensive of a business, because the transactions that you're making on that stablecoin are the dollars that are funding that rollout, right? It's not like Circle or PayPal is like needing, hundreds of millions or even tens of billions of dollars in capital. A lot of that's actually going to the technology and new products and engineers. The people who are using those rails are giving Circle cash, and then they're taking that money and immediately rolling it into the stablecoin. So the money that's going into the coins should be the numbers that are actually backing it. Does it need a little bit of startup cash to make sure that those first dollars are rolling? Maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah. Who is SoFi acquiring? No clue. And honestly, I don't even know if they should. But congratulations to Hood, up 0.8% on this new acquisition news. Very, very exciting stuff. That's very cool. Okay, Carpet, what do you, I don't know what you want, brother. SoFi's agentic AI. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely working on it. I don't know if they need $1.5 billion to do that. Did Amit respond to me? No, he did not. Broadcom's got earnings this week. We actually have some pretty exciting earnings this week. So, whenever I see, let's pull this up really quick. So we have some fun ones this week. Obviously, we have AutoZone and GameStop and these types of names. Then we also have Chewy on Wednesday, Oracle as well, Adobe, Synapsys, and then obviously Thursday, really, really big day. Broadcom, Costco, Lulu. So we're getting a good mix of like semis. Obviously, Costco, huge retailer. Lulu, big in that space. Restoration Hardware, really nice for the high-end consumer. Get a sense of that market as well. So Thursday is going to be absolutely huge. Wednesday as well. And I don't know, is there still a big GameStop movement? I don't follow it, so I truly don't know. GameStop's at $23, still a $10+ billion business. Yeah. Hood is greater than SoFi. I mean, they're definitely moving faster. They are definitely worth a lot more. But I think that there's a balance to be striked. Yeah, by the way, Amit did just tweet. He just tweeted about the details of Robinhood's expansion. So that did just happen. He just shared this. Robinhood's coming to Indonesia. And yeah, Indonesia represents a fast-growing market for trading. Wait, let's actually bring up Robinhood's thing. Indonesia represents a fast-growing market for trading, making it an exciting place to further Robinhood's mission to democratize finance for all, said Patrick Chan, head of Asia at Robinhood. We look forward to bringing Indonesians the same innovation services that they have earned the trust of Robinhood's customers globally. The same innovation services that have earned the trust. Sorry. We'll continue to serve its brokerage customers with Indonesian financial products. Over time, we hope to also offer Robinhood brokerage and crypto trading products and connect Indonesian customers to U.S. equities, cryptocurrencies, and more at scale. Subject to customary closing conditions and approval from the Indonesian Financial Services Authority. Very, very cool. Okay. I need to make a quick text to see if I can get my water refilled or if my girlfriend can bring me a coffee. Amit got sick. He did text me. He's sick, was walking outside without a scarf. I swear that's what he said. I would okay, wait, this doesn't show his any number, does it? Okay. Was walking around yesterday with no scarf. He's never beating the allegations, I swear. Yeah, it was probably the rare steak that he had. It wasn't medium enough. Okay. Can you bring me an iced coffee? Sweet. No, I'm not anti a scarf. I'm a little anti the idea of blaming that on why you're sick is that you didn't wear a scarf. But Broadcom 397.55. Oracle up 1.5% roughly. $220.79. Still not quite the return from where they were a few months ago, 345 after those remaining performance obligations that they saw from their large OpenAI deal. Okay. He's texting him. Hey, sweetheart, can you bring me a nice coffee? That's funny. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true too, right? That the whole idea of like you're sort of cold, so you get sick, or I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe it just lowers your immune system, and then maybe a smaller amount of germs or bacteria would get you sick. I'm not sure. Most flus are surface transmission, not really because you catch cold air. Okay, well, yeah, there you go. You already are sick, and then the cold air in your respiratory system triggers the nasal symptoms. All right, we got some cool like. What this is another thing that I absolutely love about YouTube. Okay, is that I can ask a question. There's like legitimate people in the chat that are like, "Oh, that's my job," and it's amazing. I remember bringing up like a BCG article before, and we were going through it, and I was confused about something, and someone in chat was like, "Yeah, I helped write that article," and it was somebody that like I very much knew. I didn't know what they did for a job, but like a well-trusted person in chat, and I just realized that they actually work for BCG. So I was like, okay, well, then can you help me out here? Boston Consulting Group. Sorry, Boston Consulting Group is they do a lot of DD on some of the companies that we cover here. No, yeah, they do a lot of great studies that are, covered a lot in this space. Intel up 0.5%, Adobe up 1%. Wow. Going into earnings, quite the pump on Adobe after being up 5.33% the day before. That could be good. What to buy? I'm sitting on some cash. Well, I would say, and I know it's such a cheesy thing to say, but honestly, I think it stops panic. So one of the things is if you ask me what to buy, and I'm bullish on Nvidia and SoFi and Amazon and Meta and these sort of names. And then if something happens where an article comes out that says, hey, Broadcom's helping Google create a TPU product that is going to essentially take away their customers, and Meta is already looking to be a large external customer for Google, you might panic and end up selling Nvidia while it was down. I would continue to hold because I believe in the business, and I can do my channel checks and make sure that hey, you know what? I'm not in the industry, but the people in the industry are not freaking out. They think this is an overreaction, and so you can't borrow conviction. What I would say is, what do you know best? What's your circle of competence? These aren't just my rules. I'm not like some unbelievable investor, but I follow unbelievable investors and the practices that, Peter Lynch or Warren Buffett or Don Valentine had set out. And you know what? It turns out that those things are pretty timeless. If a book can last for 40 years, it can usually last forever. So I can't tell you what to buy, but I'm sure there'll be some names that you find. There's always opportunities in the market. I always hate whenever people say that they're like everything's expensive. Things can be expensive if the tide changes. If if all financial stocks are really, really expensive right now, or all elevated in terms of price, maybe they had run a long way over the last couple of years. During a rate hike environment and in a quantitative tightening environment where the Fed has to sort of lower the amount of outstanding monetary supply, financials might not be the place to be if they're sort of constrained to the amount of money that they can lend out, if their margins are hit, if their ability to sell those loans are hit. So it would bring down the entire market. So whenever I say that there's always something that's cheap, it's always something cheap for that current environment. Things can switch. SoFi could look extremely expensive right now if we ended up raising rates and having quantitative tightening. $27 is a lot. It's a lot to pay for a different type of industry that we're in. Palantir is still cheap. I don't know. It might be. I mean, it definitely could be. If they continue to accelerate revenue growth and margins continue to expand, they definitely could be cheap here. But I'm not going to make those bets. I like a margin of safety, right? Let's assume things go wrong. By the way, SoFi down another 1% in after hours. I'm definitely going to sell off PayPal tomorrow. If we open up tomorrow, like the actual market opens up down 1%, I'm selling off PayPal and I'm buying SoFi. Because I don't think that we're going into an interest rate hiking environment. I think that we're going into... Oh, wait, I clicked the wrong one. Yeah, PayPal's up, SoFi's down. I'll take that. Do you need a ton of capital for SMB? Hey, you know what? Maybe if they want to get into SMB loans and stuff. But honestly, Paul, you bring up a good point. Would anyone be angry if SoFi ended up raising a lot of capital to enter a new industry like SMB? I hope that they would buy a very, very small SMB business in order to do that. So then they could just acquire all the customers and buy the tech. Give them a jump start on that business. SMB is small to medium-sized businesses. Let them do it all. We want to expand. Yeah, I mean, they will do it all eventually. It's just a matter of why raise. And now I'm not even saying this to like hurt the conviction or whatever. I'm just stating this is what maybe the market also sees is like, could you not have waited, or you don't have enough money on hand right now to do both? Why only raise 1.7 billion? If you just think, no, can you? Okay, sorry. If you say, hey, you know what? If they raise, it can make them grow more. Why stop at 1.7 billion? Why not raise $6 billion? So there is a balancing act between, okay, how much can we grow, but also, let's not hurt existing shareholders. Wow, Carvana, yeah, they got entered into the S&P 500. A top 500 company, which not too long ago, I think actually potentially filed for bankruptcy or said they were closing down. I don't follow the name, but I know that there was they were on the edge of death. Carvana, was it a Chapter 11? Yep, I think it was. Carvana had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in October of 2023. Wow. And now, they have skyrocketed. We got to do some due diligence on this name. I do not know it well enough, but whenever you take a look just really quickly at their financials, it's like there has been a complete turnaround in this name. I don't know what it is. Raising cash is a good thing. Not always. Not always. I mean, growth companies need to do it. The way that SoFi is doing it, it does feel very good because they're in such a position of strength. So obviously they feel like they can do more with this money than they ever could have before. And so they just, want more and more of it. It hurts them too. Like it hurts the institutions that are making that call. So I believe in them because, Anthony Noto is more impacted than I am. If I take a look at Carvana, this is something spectacular. If you ever find a business that is growing revenue and that revenue rate is skyrocketing, immediately, I think there's something there, right? You're now putting up 54% year-over-year growths. And next quarter, like Decembers are usually not that great for them, it looks like. But still, next quarter is probably a higher percent. That is pretty spectacular. Let's also take a look at operating margins, gross margin with that as well. And then let's also flow that down into net income margin. Margins here. Net profit margin. Okay, well, not a skyrocketing net profit margin. 1.6% up to 4.66%. I assume this 26% one is like, we can almost factor that out because, or I wonder if we actually have adjusted numbers. Maybe that'll show us. Where is it? Adjusted net income margin. We'll take away net profit margin. Actually, let's just take away all of them. Okay, so there is no adjustments then, but up to 6%. Let's cut out that last quarter. Okay, so the market's not like dually compounding because usually whenever I find a business that is accelerating in rates and accelerating in margins, that's immediately like, okay, well, now I need to start listening to earnings calls. Like, I need to figure out what the heck's going on. It might still be worth it. I mean, obviously the growth has skyrocketed. ETH is up to 3,100, starting to come up. BMNR is coming up with it. TSM, Taiwan Semi at 0.6%, 296.46. That also looks great. And Path, that's another great one as well, where they up 2.4%. It's a great chart. Okay. 1 second. Okay. I had asked for a drink. It's in this mysterious cup, so I don't know what it is. Okay, that's just water. It was in a shaker cup. I thought maybe I was getting some protein or something. Just water. Yeah, my water has run out, so the girlfriend was doing a little run for me, which was very nice of her. Carvana is cheaper on the vehicle by a small amount usually and has a 7-day money back guarantee. It can work. Hey, I mean, I don't care who's selling me a car. If they sell me a cheaper car, I'd buy it from a vending machine. We don't really have them up in Canada, so I don't really know what the experience is like, or is it always a vending machine, or is it like an online sort of e-commerce store, almost like Auto Trader or something like this? Yeah, surprise fluids. I didn't know what I was drinking. Okay. They come to your house, they drop the car off. That's not bad. Yeah, I need to do more research. I think that a company that's growing that fast should always be looked into. They could be a really big market disruptor. Is there plans for future margin expansion? Maybe they're not expanding margins right now because they want to grow so fast. There's so many reasons why things might be delayed or a little bit changed there. So, what does their debt look like? Um, What's their outstanding shares look like? Which I could see that here. Looks like quite a lot of dilution, actually. This looks like SoFi's chart, for gosh sake. Jeez. All right. Well, at least that's not what's keeping SoFi out of the S&P 500, because if they just put Carvana on, I think the dilution is going to be fine. Hims up 1.5%, $39.79, coming to Canada, getting some new blood work type acquisitions. They're starting up Hims Labs. Maybe that's an interesting space. Definitely one that I'd be a customer for. Already said that, but could be a thing. Okay. I don't know how Carvana could work. Well, I mean, it is working. Any dealership can ship you a car to your driveway. Problem is, very few people want to buy a car unseen. Yeah, I don't know. One thing that I hate, like I absolutely hate, and if you guys are in the car industry, I apologize, but I hate the industry. I find that you're buying a product that you don't even know if you're getting ripped off or if you're buying it at the right level. So I just love what Tesla has done to the industry, where they're like, hey, go on our website. This is the price of the car. I'm not like, it's not about some loan where they're trying to gouge someone's eyes out or trying to get you to haggle with them above or below the price. Like Tesla's like, okay, here's what we're selling the car at. There's no dealership involved. Do you want this or no? And you could still go and take it for a spin and test out the product. But I love that that's exactly what you get for the price. And it's almost to a point like my girlfriend's looking for a vehicle right now. And she wants me to come with her to these dealerships and everything. So then they don't essentially like take advantage of her. I just think it's like such a terrible industry. The loans that they give out are always like not predatory, but they're always crazy. Hims up to 1.76% here, getting almost on no volume, but the price continues to climb. There are buyers here. So the problem with getting a Tesla for her is that because of the work that she does, she's going to have to go on some pretty long distance drives. So we were looking at getting a Tesla Model Y, which I probably will end up getting. But I think that she's going to go with a gas-powered vehicle because it's just much easier to fill up at any gas station and then continue the drive, 3 minutes later, 2 minutes later, instead of stopping for 15 minutes, 20 minutes at a time. That's the problem. Just for her work, that she has to go pretty far sometimes. Go hybrid? Yeah, but which one? I don't know. I literally don't even think Carvana is here in Canada. I've never seen it, heard of it, no advertising, nothing. Okay. Why is Nvidia just not doing anything ever? It's stuck for a little bit. I mean, if you're checking the markets consistently, it feels like it's not. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say it literally isn't doing anything. It's a black screen. But if we zoom out over the last year, I mean, It has definitely been a very volatile stock. You've been able to buy this company at $86 and sell it at $212 at one point. Like, that is a lot of volatility. Has it been pretty shaky in between? Yes, but whenever it runs a lot, and then, maybe finds a little time to sort of consolidate for a bit. But I honestly think that next leg upwards is going to happen soon. I'm not like, don't follow me into this trade, but until I see news to the contrary that people are using NVIDIA chips less, or they're selling less, and I don't mean from these hit pieces from the millions and millions of people that want to short this company or bet against them or something like this. And I don't just mean bet against in terms of just dollar amount. I mean, like, they have something to gain from their competitors. I don't until I see it from NVIDIA, I'm not going to believe it. All the massive names are still buying NVIDIA chips, still positive. The stock will find its upside. But until then, we remain patient. EVs just have terrible resale value. That's not even my understanding. I thought Teslas hold up their resale value quite strong. Aside from the political stuff that had happened, where a lot of people for political reasons had put their car up for sale and were willing to get rid of them at some pretty egregious discounts. Aside from that, EVs I thought had a pretty good resale value. Tesla's resale value is horrible. Has that changed? Because that was not always the case. I remember Tesla holding up quite well. Okay, a lot of people are saying terrible. They held up during COVID. Okay. Okay, wow. Batteries, my understanding, they do not go bad fast. I remember before that, there were a couple Teslas. If I'm not mistaken, this is still true, that there are like some Teslas that have like broken like insane kilometer records before they've needed new batteries. And that was a long time ago that I remember following those stories, like years and years and years ago. So I can't imagine that's gotten any worse. Teslas are sorry. Guys, I know what you're saying about the Tesla. I'm still going to end up buying one. So, like, I am still getting one. I know what people say sometimes, but I have not seen a car on the market that I think is a better product. You don't have to agree with that. We can have differing opinions, but I do like a quote unquote smart car. Not a smart car, but in a car that knows what I want. And seeing those videos of like a Tesla in the winter, whenever you're not even in it, just de-thaw all the snow off of it. Oh, beautiful. But I don't need a new car right now. And to be honest, I barely drive. My car is, I don't know how old. It's 2025. I bought my car in 2017 and it has 70,000 kilometers on it. Like, I genuinely do not drive. And even my insurance for my vehicle, I have it under like essentially like a grandma policy. They're like, he drives to get groceries and that's it. And I don't even get groceries. So yeah. Cold weather kills the battery. I mean, it's cold weather. There's a lot of cold weather up here. What is a kilometer? There's about 1.6 kilometers to a mile. So like what, 45,000, 50,000 miles on my car after 8 years. Okay, let's continue to check on some of these names. Oracle up 1.7%. even higher. Broadcom up 2.2. UiPath up 2.4%. SoFi still down 1. I do have access to 24-hour markets. Maybe I should just buy now. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think what will happen whenever we actually get some real volume? I've not covered Lemonade, no. Hood is doing acquisitions plus share buybacks. SoFi is an absolute joke. It's not really about that. I don't think that that's how to value the two. One, on a multiples basis, like on a multiple of their earnings, is way more expensive than the other one. And the question's going to be, who is going to grow faster next year? And will that be disproportionate to their multiple? So if Hood is 3 times more expensive than SoFi, they need to be putting up levels that are, maybe not triple the growth, but a lot more growth. So then over the next 5 years, then they do triple. I'm not smart enough to make that call. So in my opinion, I like both. I think they're both outstanding winners. Could SoFi be raising money to buy treasuries for their stablecoin? I don't think so. I know people are saying this and that's being passed around, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Waiting for $26 or under to buy more. Yeah, but like if we get a rate cut on Wednesday, I want to buy before then. I don't see how they're going to drop down to 26. I could be wrong. I'm not a short-term trader, but I still do think over the next 4 rebalances and potential special rebalances for the S&P 500 over the next year, SoFi is going to be a part of that. Okay, that's my belief. I think that they are going to grow so much faster than people think over this next year. Way faster. I think that we're getting not one, but multiple rate cuts throughout 2026 as the Fed president ends up potentially being Kevin Hassett, but definitely someone dovish. I don't know how all of those things lined up is going to be bad for a lender like SoFi. And honestly, I think whenever things are turning sour, like if it was $32, people say, well, I've already missed it. And then it goes down to 27, and then they go, oh, well, it's going down to 25. And then whenever it goes down to 25, they go, oh, you know what? It's actually gotten worse. I'm going to buy it at 20. No one ends up buying. It's not no one, but like you never end up getting the perfect dip, It's sold off on this dilution news. I think the dilution's positive. That's that. Rate cuts for all the markets, not just SoFi. Yeah, but for lenders, it's going to disproportionately benefit them over just the general market. Watch how much that day or over the course of the next month that's affecting Nvidia stock versus how much that's affecting, the financial names. It definitely affects the financial names. Noto is a liar. I hate him. Hate's a strong word, man. Hate's a strong word for someone that's made you so much money. Just the most amount of money. Wait until Fed cut, stock goes up, Powell speaks, and it's hawkish, it goes down again, then buy. All right. Not a bad plan. Okay. Noto gave it away when he said to $1 trillion. Well, He said is on the way to $1 trillion. I don't think that, because this is the same thing. So I can talk positively about Noto, but some people are also stating like, oh, he said that, or we know that $45 is going to be hit because that's when he benefits. No, his benefit of $45 does not mean that we're going to be there, right? Same thing with like I actually think institutions don't want it to be 45 because that's dilution to us. So if we can keep it just under, like the weighted average of SoFi is 34.99 at the end of June of 2026, Wall Street would celebrate that because then they don't get diluted and they get all of his efforts for trying to bump it up. That's the bad part about this game, right? Tanner, what percentage of my earnings do I owe you? Nothing, my friend. I'm just glad you're here. Amit was sick. He legitimately, word for word, said that he did not wear a scarf outside, and so he got sick. Yeah. He went outside only with his scarf. Oh, man. Have you looked into Kraken Robotics? They supply Anduril's subsea division with sonar systems and batteries. They'll benefit from Anduril. No, I haven't looked into them, but that does sound extremely interesting. Nebius, let's take a look at Nebius. Down 0.5%. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. Seriously, short Mumu. Don't short Mumu. I actually think they're a public company. I think that's Futu Holdings. I'm not even following them. But like, actually though, why is this taking so long? This is, oh my, like, what is going on? This looks like crap. Here, let me restart it. I'm going to try to update it or something, see if that helps. Okay. Palo Alto? What's Palo Alto doing? We got to check that. Dude, it's not my internet. My internet is fine. I'm wired in. We got gigabit speeds. I found out after paying for like, I think I'm paying for 2.5 gigabits a second, that my computer just doesn't allow me to accept 2.5. Okay, someone said that they have BMNR overnight pricing, and I did just update, and I still don't have it. So, and if we're switching, okay, well, it's a little better. App Lovin' up 0.7. Someone said Palo Alto, flat. Hims and Hers up 1.4. Adobe up 1.3. That's that. I mean, there really is no news. We're going to have to see tomorrow. I'll be live at noon or 1 o'clock, depending. Not quite sure what we want to do every day. What do you guys think is better, noon or 1? Because I feel like most of the large live streams and like when people are going live is around 1 to 2 p.m. ish Eastern Standard Time. 7 p.m. Okay, well, all right. Noon. It's kind of split. Here, wait, can I do a poll? Let's do a poll. I want to know what time you guys would prefer me to live stream. However, I'm not going to make it easy on you and just say like both or something. I want to actually see like what is your favorite live stream time? Best time to live stream. Eastern Standard Time. Noon, 1 p.m. Or we also used to do 7 p.m. So do you guys prefer that as well? I could do both, but I want to know what your favorite is. So I'm not going to put that in the poll and say both or something like that. Okay. Also, tomorrow we get BMNR holdings updates. Look on Chain has found how many? I don't know. I think it's just over 100. No. Sorry. Closer to 70,000 Ethereum purchased throughout the week. And that's just with wallets that they could identify. There could be a lot more than that. So it was a decent week for BMNR in terms of the purchases. $130 million buy, $70 million buy, $50 million buy. It was, they kind of spent a lot of cash. Now, the interesting part about what we're going to find out tomorrow is, did they match that with even more raising, or potentially even better, did they raise their cash and raise their Ethereum? That's what's been happening many, many weeks in a row. Lots of dilution, but you're buying Ethereum with that. So if Ethereum continues to climb up, you're going to really appreciate that they bought during those times. See, if you buy in this valley, or potentially even, under 3,000, and then we head back into the sort of 4,700s one day, if that ends up happening again, you're going to be very happy that they purchased along this way. Tom Lee teased that they bought a lot in the Binance conference. I didn't actually see that. Can we watch that? I heard that there's a video online. I think someone sent it to me. Who was that person? Where can I find the Tom Lee conversation on Binance? Because I never actually saw it. Let's find it here. I see a 1 minute long video on it. How long was the presentation? Okay, wait. I have a 2 minute clip here, 50-second clip. 10, 20 minutes. I mean, I could still do it. Tom Lee Binance. We don't have to watch it, but let's just see if I can get it up. I mean, this looks like it. Okay, let's see if I'm allowed to watch this. If we get pulled down,
Run since October. It's great to be speaking to you, and especially this time, because as you know, cryptos had a rough run since October. Pessimism has risen. I've known a lot of people that are ready to throw in the towel. And so I think this is a great time to be talking to you about crypto and why I'm so bullish on Ethereum. So the title of the talk is "The Crypto Super Cycle is Intact." A little background, I have 3 jobs today. I'm the head of research for Fundstrat Global, which does macro and crypto research. I'm the chief investment officer of...
Sorry, 1 sec. I just have to pull it down and then reshare it because I need to throw it on a different screen. Okay. Sorry.
Fundstrat Capital, which manages 3 ETFs, including Granny Shots, which is the fastest to $3 billion in the history of any active equity ETF. And I'm chairman of the board of BitMine Emergent Technologies, which today is the largest holder of Ethereum in the world. And just on social media, if you want to follow us, we have 2 handles, @Fundstrat, and BitMine is @BITMNR. Okay. So in the next 25 minutes or so, this is the rundown of what I want to talk to you about. First, why we're still really bullish on crypto. It's all about tokenization. Number 2, I think crypto prices have bottomed. And I think that in the next 8 weeks, we're going to shatter the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. I don't think it's going to be a 4-year cycle this time. Number 3, Ethereum is the future of finance. I mean, I think that's really important because Ethereum is going to be really central casting for the tokenization of the future. Number 4, tokenization is a bigger unlock for Wall Street than many appreciate. And I think that many people think tokenization is simply digitizing assets. I think that's an oversimplification of the unlock that's coming. And number 5, why I think a proper digital asset treasury company like MicroStrategy or BitMine play a central role in what's going to happen. And in fact, you may outperform the crypto itself by owning a digital asset treasury. Okay, so 2025 is all about tokenization. But let me level set for a bit, and let's look back at the last 10 years. In December 2016, okay, you could have said, I want to own the S&P, and you would have tripled your money, which is pretty good. You could have bought gold because you might have been a gold bug and you quadrupled your money, or quadrupled your money. Or you might have been really smart and bought NVIDIA and made 65 times your money. But if you bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, which is right around the time we started recommending it to Fundstrat clients, you had 112x. But outperforming Bitcoin was Ethereum, which was a 49 times return. I'm sorry, 500 times, almost a 500 times return of your money. So that was the last 10 years. Now we're in 2025. And when I look back at what happened this year, we've had a lot of major positive fundamental events, but the price action's been terrible. So here are some high-level bullets of what I think have been the high points. The first is the US government became very pro-crypto and setting the standard for the Western world. The second is several US states and the US government plan or have executed a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Huge deal. The third is that BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF is now their top 5 highest generating generating product for BlackRock. I mean, think about that. They launched that only a year and a half ago, and it is one of their most profitable ever ETF products. Now, JP Morgan, which as you know, has been a hater of crypto for many years, is launching a JP Morgan coin on Ethereum, but they're not the only ones, there's others. Tokenization has become a big buzzword and priority for all these major financial institutions. And then these last 2 things are probably more important than you realize. There have been probably 3 breakout products that are crypto native that have changed how traditional financial markets make decisions. One example is Polymarket, which really used prediction markets to actually generate so much information that, I mean, at Fundstrat, I think it's the closest thing to a crystal ball. And then Tether has proven to be the top 10 most profitable bank in the world. I mean, think about that. It's a crypto native, singular line, monoline business, and it's one of the top 10 most profitable banks in the world. Okay, but I think the real story in 2025 is tokenization. It all started with stablecoins, and that was Ethereum's ChatGPT moment, because all of a sudden, Wall Street realized that if you just tokenize the dollar, you could make a lot of money. But now, financial institutions are saying tokenization is going to transform finance. In fact, Larry Fink says it's the biggest, most exciting invention since double entry bookkeeping. I mean, first of all, I don't know if that's that exciting, but it is apparently a huge deal. And I mean, this picture is, this is monumental too. Brian Armstrong and Larry Fink together talking on DealBook. Okay. So if you're bearish on crypto or you think the best days are behind us because of the last 10 years, I'm going to disagree. Keep in mind today, there's only 4.4 million Bitcoin wallets that have more than $10,000. Okay. By contrast, there's almost 900 million individuals around the world with more than $10,000 in their retirement accounts. So if Bitcoin were to be held by all these accounts, that's a 200 times increase in adoption. That's still, to me, exponential and hypergrowth. And Bank of America Fund Manager Survey still shows 67% of fund managers have zero allocation to Bitcoin. Wall Street wants to tokenize all financial products. And keep in mind, financial products today, if you include real estate, it's almost $1 quadrillion that they want to put onto the blockchain. And then, of course, in the agentic world, it's going to create a need for decentralized trust and security, of course, which is what blockchain solves. So to me, I think the best years are still ahead. Okay. So let me explain to you why I think crypto prices have bottomed. First of all, crypto is acting like there's a crypto winter because gold's up 61% year to date. S&P's up almost 20%, and you can see Bitcoin and Ethereum actually are negative year to date. And I really like this article by Jeff Dorman at Arca, who said, the selling that nobody can explain. I think many people can say why they think crypto prices have fallen, but nobody really understands why. But here's what I just want to point out. This is Bitcoin's year-to-date performance. And Bitcoin was having a good year until October 10th. Now, after October 10th, a lot of people try to explain why crypto is declining. It's the quantum risk to Bitcoin, crypto winter starting. I have so many traditional investors telling me that's the only reason. They say, Tom, it's the 4-year cycle. Of course, we had the October 10th liquidation event, the biggest liquidation in history. A lot of people say it's the AI stocks have captured mind share. MicroStrategy recently said they might sell their Bitcoin. That scared some people. MSCI may exclude digital asset treasuries from indexes. And of course, Tether got a ratings downgrade. So maybe some of these could explain why crypto's down. But just keep in mind, crypto was up 36% until October 10th, and then it's gone straight down. I personally think it has a lot to do with deleveraging. And as you know, after the FTX collapse, it did take 8 weeks before market makers recovered and crypto could start to see price discovery again. And we're basically 7.5 weeks past that event. Now, Bitcoin made a decision about 5 weeks ago to engage Tom DeMark because we wanted to understand what was happening with crypto prices. Now, if you don't know who Tom DeMark is, he's a legendary market timer. At Fundstrat, I've used him to call 2 of the major market lows, the March 2020 low and the April tariff lows. Those were all in coordination and consultation with Tom DeMark. And Tom only has 2 clients today. We're his second client. And he's very expensive, actually. Tom has advised us to dramatically slow our Ethereum purchases. And as you can see here, once we engaged Tom, we took a different strategy with regard to our Ethereum purchasing. And you can see our Ethereum purchases fell by half to 50,000 a week. But we've begun to buy Ethereum again. You can see last week we bought almost 100,000 ETH, twice what we did 2 weeks before. And I will give you a hint, we definitely bought more than that this week because we believe Ethereum prices have actually bottomed. So we're bullish on Ethereum. But let's go back to the 4-year price cycle for Bitcoin because it's still hard to escape this chart. 3 of 3 times since the history of Bitcoin, the 4-year cycle, or 3.91 years, exactly called the top and the lows. So the question is, why?
By the way, if you guys don't know, we had a little bit of a feud with this chart before. This was the same one that Andre Jick was using. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. But potentially this means that we're going to have 364 days of a sell-off. Anyway, we'll see what Tom Lee has to say.
So the question is, why is Bitcoin subject to a 4-year cycle? We asked the Fundstrat Digital Assets team to give us the 5 most logical reasons for this. There's the halvening cycle, there's monetary policy, margin debt. But the 2 things that I think have actually become more important in our view is gold versus copper, and then the ISM, or which is just your traditional economic business cycle. So let me explain. So the halving could explain Bitcoin because the halving is pre-computed, but the problem with the halving cycle explaining Bitcoin's price is that there's a lot of other things that have a 4-year cycle. Presidential elections, Olympics, World Cup, etc. But there are some things that follow a 4-year price cycle that no longer follow a 4-year price cycle. And one of them is copper versus gold. And this is a tweet from AO BTC analyst. And we decided to recreate it, which is, let's look at the ratio of copper prices, which is measuring industrial activity, to monetary base, which is gold. And in the past, you can see it had a predictable 4-year cycle, except this time. And if you line it up with Bitcoin and copper, they actually line up almost perfectly. But copper and gold are not in a 4-year cycle now because that ratio should have peaked this year. Similarly is ISM. ISM is a measure of US economic activity, and historically that had a 4-year cycle. But as you can see, the ISM is not following a 4-year cycle today. It's actually stayed below 50 for almost 3.5 years. If you line up the ISM to Bitcoin, you can see it almost perfectly explained every Bitcoin cycle, including the original Bitcoin price peak. So it's even more explanatory than the 4-year cycle. But again, this time the ISM is not peaking. So here's the question I'd ask you. If the industrial cycle is no longer following a 4-year cycle, and copper gold isn't following a 4-year cycle, I'm going to say I don't know if Bitcoin should follow a 4-year cycle. So I'm not in the camp that Bitcoin price has peaked. And the only way we'll know is if we make new highs in January, which is our bet. Okay, so let me explain to you why Ethereum, now that we've talked about crypto, Ethereum is the future of finance. And what I mean by that is Ethereum in this year, it's having its 1971 moment. I've done past dedicated videos explaining this, so I'm not going to spend much time on it today. But what I'm saying is that in 1971, the dollar went off the gold standard. And in 1971, it galvanized Wall Street to create financial products to make sure the dollar would be the reserve currency. Well, in 2025, we're tokenizing everything. So it's not just the dollar that's getting tokenized, but it's stocks, bonds, real estate. And Wall Street is again going to take advantage of that and create products onto a smart contract platform. And where they're building this is on Ethereum. This is a list of basically every major financial institution, and they're building products on the blockchain. And today, if you look at the share of real world assets, and the prior panel talked about that, the majority of this, the vast majority, is being built on Ethereum. And not only that, but Ethereum is continuing to upgrade its capabilities, and today, the Fusaka upgrade was completed. So again, Ethereum is increasing its capabilities. And I thought this was great. This week, if you guys know Eric Voorhees, he was one of the original Bitcoin developers. Even he has said Ethereum has won the smart contract war. Okay, so that gets us to the price of Ethereum. As you know, Ethereum has been range bound for 5 years, as I've shaded here, but it's begun to break out. And that's one of the reasons why myself and Mosaics, Shen from Mosaics is here, we got very involved with Ethereum by turning BitMine into an Ethereum treasury company because we saw this breakout coming. And maybe more importantly, the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio we think is also going to have a breakout. Now, this might actually be more important because Bitcoin and Ethereum are really the 2 most important crypto L1s or blockchains out there. But if 2025 is about tokenization, that means Ethereum's utility value should be rising. Therefore, you should watch this ratio. Okay, well, what does that mean for Ethereum's price? Well, I think Bitcoin's going to get to 250,000 within a few months. And if Ethereum price ratio to Bitcoin gets back to its 8-year average, that's $12,000 for Ethereum. I mean, that's a huge move. If it gets to the 2021 highs, that's $22,000 for Ethereum. But I think Ethereum is going to become the future of finance, the payment rails of the future. And if it gets to 0.25 relative to Bitcoin, that's 62,000. So I think Ethereum at 3,000, of course, is grossly undervalued. Okay. And in the final minutes, I want to talk about why tokenization is a bigger unlock than you realize. Larry Fink says we're at the beginning of tokenization of all assets. And there's 5 reasons tokenization unlocks things, okay? It's fractional ownership. It does reduce cost. It allows 24/7 global trading. There's more transparency. And in theory, there's more liquidity, okay? But I would say that these are just the raw ingredients. And in our minds, tokenization is actually going to take Wall Street into a next level of evolution. And what I mean by that is we have to understand what you can do differently if you begin to tokenize assets, especially combining it with prediction markets. For instance, most people who are talking about tokenization are doing what I call a very simplified view. They're going to take a painting like this and they'll fractionalize it. So you can own 1 grid of this asset. But a second way to do a tokenization is to factorize a business, okay? So let's say we break this painting down into its prime colors, and then you can just buy, whatever factor you want. An example is Tesla. For instance, you can time tokenize Tesla. You can buy the NPV of earnings on a specific date. You can product tokenize. You can just buy the present value of a specific product stream. Okay, so in other words, it's blending prediction markets with actual ownership. You can geographically tokenize Tesla. You can buy the NPV of a specific region, or you can financial statement tokenize. You can buy the tokenization of its subscription revenues. These will all still solve for the price of the stock, but you're going to create an unlock that better explains the price of Tesla. For instance, we know Tesla's stock price is the sum of its future earnings. So let's say that you could tokenize and purchase a specific year of Tesla's stock earnings. And we know that Elon Musk is going to get his pay package based on a 10-year plan. So you may only want to buy the present value of 2036 earnings. So you can do that today with a prediction market, or you could actually have this as a true tokenization of the stock, and everything else is the other time periods. The second example is product tokenization. We know Tesla is EVs, robotaxis, full self-driving. I don't even have Optimus Prime, solar, but of course, ultimately, the biggest value of Tesla is Elon himself. So if you could tokenize Tesla stock, you could isolate the implied value of just buying in Elon Musk himself. And as you know, he's an N=1 person. Okay, so that's tokenization. I think, of course, you need smart contracts and prediction markets, and really working in conjunction with both is what is, in our view, a huge unlock. And in fact, BitMine is trying to find projects that are really moving this forward. So that gets us to the last point, which is, well, you can buy Ethereum because we're bullish on Ethereum, but I think you should also realize that digital asset treasuries are playing a role in transforming Wall Street. Okay, I'm going to start with Ethereum specifically, but in our view, a proper Ethereum treasury company is actually a crypto infrastructure business, and I'll explain it. First of all, Ethereum is a proof of stake blockchain, so Ethereum treasuries are staking Ethereum, so we're providing security. Now, in return, we get a yield, and that's revenue for the treasury companies. And we are essentially improving the security of the network, but also acting as a bridge between traditional finance and the DeFi world. And finally, stablecoin issuers are going to, in our view, ultimately want to stake Ethereum because it is the underlying base monetary layer. But for all of this to work, I think the most important element of a crypto treasury is it needs to have stock liquidity. Stock liquidity is a measure of how Wall Street views that company as relevant to the future of finance. So let's look at the two biggest treasuries. MicroStrategy today is the 17th most traded stock in the stock market today. Just think about that. Like, let's say that you guys think no one cares about MicroStrategy. Wall Street certainly does. It is trading almost $4 billion a day, and it trades, it trades more trading volume than JP Morgan, for instance. Now, BitMine, which essentially was created 4 months ago, is the 39th most traded stock in America today. And as I zoom in here, you can see it trades more trading volume than General Electric, which has 30 times the market cap. And it trades almost the same trading volume as Salesforce.com, which is 20 times the market cap. So these two companies, according to the equity world, are extremely relevant. In fact, BitMine and MicroStrategy account for 92% of all crypto treasury trading volume. There's 80 crypto treasuries, and these two companies are 92% of the trading volume. And we can see that here. MicroStrategy is 3.6 billion a day. BitMine's 1.5 billion a day. After that, there's almost no trading volume. It drops off by 90%. Okay, and that's where MicroStrategy and BitMine are pursuing different strategies, because MicroStrategy is purpose building their crypto treasury to be what Michael Saylor calls a digital credit vehicle. And he's financialized his balance sheet with a series of products, and it's been phenomenally successful. On the other hand, BitMine is bridging Wall Street and Ethereum and DeFi. So let me explain. Number one, BitMine's the largest holder of Ethereum in the world. I think that's a pretty impressive feat because 5 months ago, BitMine owned 0. Now, BitMine has announced that we have Maven, our staking solution, and when it's fully implemented, using the CZAR index, we should generate about 2.9% staking yield on our Ethereum holdings. That's about $400 million a year in net income, or $1.3 million a day. I mean, think about that for a moment. I mean, that's a lot of money. And it's done with a completely clean balance sheet. BitMine has over $12 billion worth of Ethereum, a little bit of Bitcoin, some moonshot investments, and about $900 million of cash. So there's no debt. But that's only part of it. As you can see, this is part of a DeFi strategy. The first was BitMine is doing moonshot investments. It made a big investment in ACO, which is proof of human, an ERC20 token called WorldCoin. We have our Maven staking solution that's being rolled out next year. We're working very closely with the Ethereum Foundation in partnership to really help bridge Wall Street and the crypto world. We're already looking very hard at investing in DeFi projects. And of course, we're in the process of creating BitMine Labs. But that's only part of it. We're also planning to bridge finance. Because of BitMine's sizable trading volume and because of the macro experience of both Mosaics and Fundstrat, we have enormous Wall Street connectivity. We also realize that BitMine is very complementary to a lot of consumer services. It already is a very recognized brand. We are one of the most important stocks in the stock market today. There is an enormous BitMine community that already exists, and BitMine is building a lot of its own technology. So the roadmap looks good for us. We have a Made in America validator network, which is Maven. We're really investing in the crypto community and in BitMine moonshots, and of course, targeting at least 5% of the Ethereum network. That's the end of my presentation, so thank you.
What did you think? I see a lot of nasty comments, but whenever I go to actually talk to people about BMNR, I don't hear these types of nasty comments. So it's funny. Is the tide changing on Ethereum now? I saw some comments about utility. I don't believe that there's no utility on Ethereum. Maybe you could say there's no utility for BMNR or something like this, but companies are actively building heavily on Ethereum right now and blockchain in general. I don't see how you can hear that from Vlad Tenev, Anthony Noto, Larry Fink, JP Moore, or Jamie Dimon, and now Vanguard's opening up. But all of these different people are saying blockchain is the next big thing. And then people go, oh, no, this is snake oil. The price of the token, you could maybe consider snake oil, but the actual value of the token, the added security, the 24/7 markets, the ability to script on it so you can create whatever you want. Like, Tom Lee ended up giving this very weird example of tokenizing different parts of Tesla, including just Elon himself. He called it Elon's brain. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but that's like saying the computer is weird because you can make whatever you want. That doesn't make it less good. That just means that the cream will rise to the top and everything else will not be used. This was the second time I watched it through and I found it even better. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them ended up talking crap on crypto and then ended up changing their tone. And some of that could boil down to they didn't have the right tools in place in order to take advantage of it. And so just like the sort of big short events, they had sort of delayed the idea of some of those bonds collapsing, and then they ended up putting out their own short positions, and then they said, oh, we re-rated this stuff sucks. It almost sounds like that a little bit, where Jamie Dimon was talking crap on Ethereum, and then he had created a massive crypto team, and they're betting a ton on it, and now he's going in front of Congress and going in front of some of these committees and panels and saying, hey, crypto's the next big thing now that we have a good position here. But you know what? You don't have to take a bet on cryptocurrency. This is another thing too. It's perfectly fine. You know what company I always think is so amazing, and like if your circle of competence does not include cryptocurrency, that's perfectly fine. I've got no judgment against that. It's definitely confusing. However, a company like Walmart, I always love as this perfect example, because you don't really need to, or even Amazon, you don't really need to think too hard about it, right? Do you think customers are going to come in and buy more product? Yes or no? Okay. Do you think full self-driving is going to help them deliver that product? Yes or no? Do you think cryptocurrency, maybe you don't believe in cryptocurrency, but if I tell you the facts, okay, like every industry leader, every single one, even the people who are bearish on cryptocurrency, would not deny these facts. And you said Walmart would be able to handle more transactions, microtransactions. They would be able to lower the costs of, paying out large payment fees, so their margins would increase. And they would be able to create new fintech offerings because they could, potentially offer new payment types like agentic commerce or something like this that could happen with their B2B sales or something like this, that would happen through crypto rails as well. That can't happen through traditional rails because consistent, extremely small transactions are just too expensive to be, sort of validated on Visa's rails or MasterCard or things like this. So crypto can handle those types of transactions very easily. You don't have to be interested in cryptocurrency in order to benefit. You could just see, okay, how is this going to affect payment companies? How is this going to affect the companies that handle a lot of payments, like Amazon or Walmart or some of these businesses that handle, a ton of payment going back and forth? Should we short payment processors then? That's what's happening. That's an active trade. So you look at why Shift4 and PayPal and, a lot of these companies are getting massive discounts right now, is they're saying, hey, crypto is going to destroy their take rates. It's actively happening. So that very much is a thought process. But no, I'm not saying you should short payment processors. I'm not. One, I don't short, and two, I think it's overblown. Overblown meaning the impact. I think the leaders are still going to be the leaders after the fact. Some people are saying, like, I saw some comments saying, like, oh, a crypto is eating finance. It's like, it's not eating finance. The biggest companies, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, JP Morgan, like all the biggest payment providers in the world are all starting to adopt it. The reason is they understand the benefits and they want to be the big players on the other side. So maybe the total take rate ends up falling, but the margins sort of improve in that way. Yeah. Don't forget Capital One. Sure. Yeah. No, they're all working on tokenization. Like, heck, yeah, Western Union is working on tokenization. Like we can't say this is snake oil. Like if a bunch of them were saying it and not doing something with it, then maybe you could be like, okay, well, no one's actually pulling the trigger. But look at PayPal USD. This is funding very quickly. My Visa has been dead money for a year. Well, that's because they're trying to understand what the impact of stablecoins would be. But I got to be honest with you, Visa looks compelling. I mean, it's a pretty amazing business in general. So I'm not saying that this is a sell the Visa type play. Okay. I'm a PayPal 2026 believer. Yeah, but this whole tokenization and stablecoin payments thing might be a 5-6 year long venture. And so the reason why I've not turned super bullish on PayPal, it's like I see them doing well. Like, they're doing great. And so is Duolingo, right? But there's going to be this overarching sentiment above the company for the next 5-10 years that stablecoins is going to have a negative impact on their business. That there's going to be a huge change of hands, similarly with AI and Google, right? Like, if people think things are going to change very drastically, it can hold stocks down. Luckily, Google ended up getting out in front of that, and that thesis changed pretty quickly. But I don't know if PayPal will be able to do that as quick. Do you see a difference in blockchain technology and cryptocurrency? Well, I mean, I think they're used very interchangeably right now, but the idea of cryptocurrency, I think, is more referring to someone using Ethereum or Bitcoin in order to make payments. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Bitcoin will be used as gold, sort of a form of digital gold. Gold is very expensive to hold. It's hard to bring it out of the ground, refine it, and then put it back under the ground, and then guard it, and then transport it whenever someone buys it. And it's very, very heavy. I don't like, and then people go, oh, it's used in technology. Is it? Well, I'm not, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying what percentage of its value is its utility in my cell phone and in, certain electronics. 1%, a 0.5%. The high majority of the value of it is the speculation of it going up or down. Think about 100 years ago or 200 years ago at most. And by the way, I'm stretching that number. There was no electronics that were using gold, yet it still was valued very, very highly. It wasn't because it was put in electronics. It was because it's, lack of tarnishability, and, you could throw it in the ocean for 2,000 years, bring up the gold, and it would look the exact same. That was the value. Well, that's the exact value of Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin, you can go away for 1,000 years, come back, it's still going to be the exact same Bitcoin as long as you have that seed phrase. So, that's the value of Bitcoin. Ethereum, the value of it is the blockchain technology. Okay. It's scriptability. It's a computer that has security. So we're going to be able to build all sorts of apps, like the way the Apple App Store or Microsoft, all of these apps that have been built on top of it. Ethereum is looked at a very similar way. There are companies that will be built on Ethereum. Payments is the immediate one because it's just inherently designed that way, because they have just built into Ethereum's main code is the ability to create user wallets, the ability to send money from one wallet to another, and just things like that just make payments inherently obvious. But then you have things that are not inherently obvious, like prediction markets that are coming out of this. I say yes, you say no. Like people don't realize this. Kalshi and a Poly market and all these markets are all built on cryptocurrency. That was one of the things that was built on cryptocurrency, because you could make a profitable market from a single dollar contract. None of this equity, we need 100 of each share in order to make a market for a contract. That's going by the wayside, guys. You're going to be able to do fractional options trading here in the near term, and that will be built on crypto, because just inherently the fractionalization of cryptocurrency is built right into the code. Okay. So we're not taking existing markets and then trying to sort of do patchwork or something like this to try to make fractionalized products. It's just built inherently into blockchain. That's why everything's going on that in that sort of direction. Polymarket runs on an ETH too. Yeah. Tanner, this is your subject. Hope you talk about it more in your streams. Well, like I said, I want to invest in my circle of competence. I don't know cryptocurrency the way that crypto people do, but I know it well enough to understand that there's value there. But it is true. My two or maybe even three categories that I want to invest in the most, where I'm trying to learn the most and is my circle of competence, is artificial intelligence by far, cryptocurrency, and blockchain, sort of that fintech area, because I think there's a big revolution there. I do believe in what Tom Lee says. I don't know who the winner is going to be. And that's why I'm not just betting on Ethereum. I don't just have my portfolio in Ethereum. But, there's what technology to bet on, but then there's also owning the user. So it doesn't matter if Ethereum is going to win, Solana, or some other sort of new L1 like Tempo or Arc or something like this ends up winning. I know that SoFi is still going to have users and Robinhood is still going to have users, right? So those still win for me. And then what does that do to e-commerce and all sorts of payment names and everything like that? I think that there's going to be a massive blockchain revolution there as well. And then the last one is advertising, which I think is just going to be the sort of combination of both. So you can really put it into two main categories: AI and blockchain as the two things that I'm betting on in my entire portfolio. And then you get those subcategories like advertising, which is going to do better with generative artificial intelligence and much better with agentic commerce and stable coins and these sort of things. All right. Retire your wife in 100 years, fellow PayPal holder. That's funny. Yeah, I'm probably going to sell PayPal tomorrow and just buy SoFi if it ends up falling tomorrow. I just need to get I've got a certain amount of holdings. I think it's like nearly 20 right now. And I want to get that back down to 14. So I got to start finding names to cut to put into names that I have high conviction. Yeah. Don't forget App and Google for advertising. So I don't have I don't have AppLovin right now for advertising because I want to own the user. I do have Google for advertising, but I count it as sort of being a half advertising play. I sort of I do this on my futureinvesting.pro thing. So if you guys take a look at my portfolio for the course members that actually have it, I break it down in two different ways. All my holdings and their percentages and that sort of stuff, and then also each individual sector because I try to balance that as well. So the way that I look at Google is sort of being across multiple sectors. I think I have it at 55% advertising. Let me just bring it up for you. And then a good amount in AI and software, and then some in fintech as well. I think like 5% fintech, just because they do have a payment strategy as well, and Google Wallet and stuff like that. My Google is 5% fintech, 10% e-commerce, 30% AI and software, 55% advertising. That's my breakout for Google. But then I have some names that are 100% advertising, like Reddit, for example. Meta is not even really, I don't consider 100%. Oh, why does that look wrong? Yeah, Meta is nearly Meta is 75% advertising, 15% AI, and then an additional 10% in e-commerce and fintech. Stuff like that. So I do have advertising names, but it breaks out into both categories. Now that Gemini is embedded with YouTube, it's so easy to just use Gemini to summarize videos quickly without having to watch all of them or rely on comment. Yeah, I know, but I feel like a lot of people like watching YouTube videos. Like, a lot of people come to hear about what's in the news. I mean, you can just go and read an article. So Gemini kind of turning videos into these summary articles, I'm like, that's not really the point. I'm not going and asking Mr. Beast's video to be, okay, well, who won the contest? No, I want to see the content. So I don't really care for Gemini and YouTube that much, to be honest. Well, the summary of comments I do like, where it'll say like, okay, well, these are the main like 4 different things that comments are saying. Like they don't like, this one thing, or they do like this strategy or something. That I do like. Gives me like a proxy for how people were feeling in the video. Tanner, do you hold Ethereum directly or just proxy with Bitcoin or with BMNR? I do hold Ethereum directly, but it's not even really that much compared to my BMNR. My BMNR is probably like 90% of my entire ETH play. What are the stocks that you're buying and selling? Just entered. Gonna sell PayPal. Gonna buy SoFi. I'm probably going to be ending up selling even more. I just don't know what yet. Like I want to get rid of Shark Ninja, but maybe I can wait a little bit. There's been some pretty interesting advertising plays that they've been having that has accelerated their sales, and they're starting to really get out of China and into a bunch of other Southeast Asia manufacturers that are going to help with some of the tariff concerns and these sort of things. So that's interesting as well, but I don't know if I want to hold it long term just because I don't want to be in 1,000 names. Tanner, surely you aren't selling any 4, right? No, I'm not selling 4. No. Buy Dyson, if anything? No, dude. Shark Ninja is where it's at. And I've got a few Dyson products. I bought my girlfriend the Dyson Airwrap. We bought the vacuum and everything. But when that vacuum dies, if it ever does, honestly, I do love Dyson. But the price difference versus the Sharks and everything I'm seeing from the Shark vacuums is that they're just maybe not better, but that they just are also amazing. So I'm just going to get a Shark next. And the Dyson Airwrap, my girlfriend has the Dyson Airwrap. She also has the Shark, what do you call it? The Flex Styler or whatever. She uses that always. She doesn't even use the Dyson. It's insane. And the price is so different. It's like 3, if not 4x the price. And she likes the Shark better. So I do like Shark Ninja's brand so much. And by the way, I love management. If you get the time to go listen to some of the either the fireside chats or some of the conversations that they've had, Mark is so unbelievable. It's incredible. I'm a big fan of the team. I love the way that they think about, like, I'm going to sort of butcher this. I forget what it's called, but whenever they get the specs all properly or all made and they get the molds and everything correct for whenever they go to create the products, I forget the name of that. There's a real term for it in the manufacturing space. I'm going to butcher it, so I apologize. But essentially what they said is that if they end up finding any bugs, a lot of other companies will just not change any of the molds or any of the sort of how they were going to make that product, because it's extremely expensive. So then they end up selling a product they know isn't 100%. And they say, okay, well, in our version 2, we'll fix all those products and like, sort of get it out for the next run. Shark Ninja will scrap all the money that they did creating that first version, and they will not put out a product if they don't think that it's perfect. And that's why their reviews are so high. That's why their customer satisfaction is extremely high, because they're willing to like put a product out at a loss, but they're not doing that. And they are profitable, and they are a growing business. So that's not the concern, but that willingness to be like, okay, we're not going to put out something that we think is crap, where other companies like Samsung and all of these ones are perfectly happy to do that because they'll just get it on the next one. The Ninja Creamy, and I'm not kidding, like the fact that they even made that product, it's insane. The Ninja Creamy is so legit. It will turn anything into ice cream, and I'm not joking. All the Ninja products are amazing. Sounds like you shouldn't sell. But you're right. But it's an expensive name. And you're right. I do love the name a lot, but I want to be consolidated. Ninja's air fryers are really good. Yeah. What are Shark Ninja's R&D costs? High. That's where all their money goes. They buy the best. They've got the best people. They spend a lot of money on R&D. But yeah, for real, the Ninja Creamy for protein ice cream is the way to go. You can make these extremely low calorie, low sugar, like 50 grams of protein ice creams. Do they taste like Dairy Queen or real ice cream? No. Does it taste like a protein shake? No. It's this beautiful middle ground of something that actually tastes good, but is it actually pretty healthy for you? And you know what you've put in it. So you know that you've only put in like 4 ingredients, and you can get the protein pretty freaking high. It's awesome. I don't make it enough, to be honest. Still like the company. I bought at 80, sold at 108. You know what? I wish I saw it go public, because it went public at like $25 and immediately skyrocketed to $90. It just went on a tear. I don't know. Sounds like I need a Ninja Creamy. If you guys are, if there are a couple gym bros in the chat and you don't have a Ninja Creamy, like like you've actually made a serious mistake. It's the best. If you like ice cream and you don't have a Ninja Creamy, you've made a mistake. I'm not sponsored. I do have shares in the company, but not even a lot. It's like one of my smallest positions. I just do like the company. And that's the great thing too. This is the amazing thing. Whenever you're looking for businesses that you want to hold, culture is such an important one. This is one that I've been highlighting a lot recently. Okay. One of the things is like, if you find a business where someone just constantly refers that company because they love the product so much, they've gone out of their way to serve you a product that they truly care about, and you can like tell that there's a huge difference between the two competitors. You tell all your friends, and it reduces your marketing costs a ton. SoFi is that, or sorry, Shark Ninja is that. SoFi might be that. We'll see. Nubank is definitely that for sure in terms of the bank side. No, I'm talking about Shark Ninja, but Reddit is. I'm less about the culture of Reddit. I actually find the culture pretty. I don't know. I feel like there's like Rumble on one side, which I don't really care for either, and like you could just sort of find yourself in. I don't like a social media platform that just ties itself to a political ideology. Like YouTube, I find you can find people on both sides. Maybe in certain moments of its history, it's leaned one way versus the other, but that's sort of gone. And then Reddit, there is places like, I think there is an r/ conservatives or something like this, but it is a left-leaning political or the social media site, which is fine. Like if you're left-leaning, I've got nothing against that or whatever. I'm not here to talk politics. But I do think that it cuts your potential TAM a lot. Like for very political people, they're going to choose to either avoid or be attracted to that certain platform. And I don't think that being political is good for business. However, they're in such a stage of their business right now, Reddit, where they're going from extremely undervalued advertising and essentially 10xing the monetization that they're doing on a per user basis. The user basis is now also at a catalyst or at an inflection point, I should say, because they're starting to really ramp into global, where a lot of the user base before has been English speaking, like US customers. That is going to be a huge boom for them. So you're breaking out into a new user base, and the advertising is skyrocketing in the monetization and the rates that they're charging for that. Huge. That's what I care about. Not picking a one side or another. Think you were looking for the word prototype? I guess. Yeah, you could call it that. Joined late, Tanner. Why are you selling PayPal? I just have more conviction in SoFi. That's all. And like I said, I like PayPal. I tweeted about my experience about using them on Friday. It was a beautiful experience. Like, I'm just like, man, this, I like the product a lot, but I think they have a hard road ahead of them. Not like I bought a lot anyway. I bought because I was just looking at the business. It was like a sort of an impulse little buy. And I was like, you know what? I'll start a teaser position and then build it out from there. And I never built it out from there. And I'm like, okay, well, why am I holding these types of companies where I'm like buying these small positions and then like not building them out? Your top 5 stock picks for December? I don't think I have that thought out yet, but I'm going to continue to buy Meta and Amazon here. buy SoFi if it gets sold off here into the rate cut decision for Wednesday. I don't know. Trim the fat, buy dividends. I'm not anti the dividend strategy, but the companies that I like to invest in, that I've done really well on, I do not usually lean into dividends. My dividend plays look like Meta and Nvidia and stuff like that, which to call those dividend plays is pretty crazy. Hood's not diluting. Is it in a better financial position? Well, they are more capital light. They don't need, SoFi needs capital. They're a lender, you know. Robinhood does not. So they don't need the money the way SoFi does. Now, there's an argument to say that asset light businesses have historically done better than asset heavy businesses. Doesn't mean that asset heavy businesses can't do well. Look at Amazon, extremely capital heavy, one of the biggest companies in the world. But asset light businesses in general are usually more flexible, can work faster, and they do not need to dilute or raise capital or do any of these things. Are you done buying Chime? No, I'm actively researching. Like I was listening to calls on Chime today. Yeah, I do think Meta is still cheap, for sure. I do have One Stop Systems, or is it One Shop Systems? I don't even know. I have them in my watch list, but I do not know anything about the business. But I think someone added it to the community portfolio and then said that it was going to be huge, and I've been tracking it since. Okay. What are my thoughts on Affirm? I don't have too many thoughts on Affirm. Max Levchin's the absolute GOAT. I've got huge beliefs on him, and if I wanted to play a buy now, pay later name, I would pick Affirm or PayPal. But more clear bet on buy now, pay later, I would pick Affirm. But I'm not currently betting on buy now, pay later names. VG's riding the lows, perhaps a good buy. Maybe, but I don't know anything about the name. Yeah. Okay. Nvidia or SoFi for 6-month gain? I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I don't know if I could pick one. I think SoFi has a lot of catalysts, but I think that Nvidia deserves to pop. And so, yeah, I don't know which one will pop first. These are just my beliefs for my own portfolio. Would you like to sell covered calls on SoFi? I do sell covered calls on SoFi, just not right now. I'd like to see it above 30 for me to do that. And I usually only do about 2 weeks out. So a lot of my covered calls, I'll write, they'll expire. And if it's fallen a lot, I'll just wait a little bit until it pops back up, just so I don't have to end up rolling and deal with the nonsense. I don't want to get buried in my positions, and I definitely don't want to get rid of SoFi, considering I think that like it'll be in the 50s the next 12 months or so. So I don't want to play around with my position too much. I don't want to pick up pennies and lose track of the dollars, you know? Like the real money is made on the stock appreciating. If I can make a little bit of extra money along the way, I will, but I'm not going to do that riskily. I usually do my betas, honestly, like around 0.1. I just don't even, deltas. I usually do my deltas around 0.1. I don't want to take the risk. I'll add a little dividend on my growth stocks, but I do like the real reason why I'm buying them is for their appreciation. So I do not want to lose track or lose sight of that. Thoughts on data center stocks? I like Nebius right now, and I'm buying Nebius. Which stock has more long-term growth opportunity, Reddit or Meta? I mean, I think the sort of consensus would say Reddit is a lower market cap, so that means that they have more opportunity, but I'm not even sure that that's true. Meta is so much more than a social media and advertising play. Like, they are doing a lot of things right now. So, yeah, I don't know if I could pick a name. Okay. How are you so patient? What do I need the money for? I don't know what it is, but for me, like even since I was a kid, I can just imagine myself being 50 and 60. Past that, it gets hard, but or 70 is fine. Like, I could think of that. And I can think of myself having problems then. And I think, okay, well, what's the best thing that I can do now in order to help my future self? And that would be investing. Okay. And so I don't want to, it's easy for me to sacrifice the gains and the wants of today, like that willpower. I actually find is actually fun. Some people think like sacrificing things is always like a detriment. To me, it's like a self-gratifying thing. Oh, you stopped yourself from doing that. You didn't, like, you went to a birthday party. Everyone else had cake. You didn't. Like, to me, that can be fun. And so, one, with the money, there's nothing I want to buy. Most things that I do want to buy are small ticket items. I buy them immediately whenever I want them. It doesn't affect my portfolio. And two, I think that it's great. Like, I like it. It's a self-gratifying thing that I can hold on, and I can tell people that I've had that iron stomach, and I have those long-term gains of companies over multiple years. And that was like my decision. So yeah, I have to be patient, but honestly, I enjoy it. The yoga of investing. I was doing yoga for a bit, hot yoga. But yeah, not many guys in that class, to be honest. Okay. Outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, have you ever researched any other legitimate cryptos? I mean, Solana was a big name for me for a while. The proof of history protocol I thought was very interesting, but I just started to, sort of think about like, okay, well, what's stopping Ethereum from like upgrading their protocol to like proof of history one day if the community agrees that it's that extremely beneficial. So right now, the thing that is making me decide what is the most important crypto L1 to me is legitimately the most popular one. And that is just the gap is widening. It is Ethereum. So I've not looked at other projects. I like Ethereum. My best stock buy over the past few years was over the past few weeks was Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah, no, that was a pop for sure. A lot of the retail names, and we have Lululemon coming up on Thursday. It might be interesting. I don't buy any quantum names, anything like that. Okay. Let's see what else. Do you stake or lend any of your crypto? I stake all my crypto. I stake it all. aside from my very, very small position in Bitcoin, for which it has no ability to do that. Tanner, when are you jumping on the Rocket Labs train? Ooh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I should get more bullish on space, I know. Maybe one day. Oh my gosh. IBM nears deal to acquire data center infrastructure company Confluent for around $11 billion. Wow, wow, wow. Look at the after hours on this name. Jeez. I forget the name of the Confluence CEO, but he's a really smart guy. I've seen some interviews with him. Wow, man. That's incredible. Buy rocket companies, not rocket labs. That's funny. The mortgage business. 3% of my portfolio is in Confluent. Let's go. Let's go. Ben with the big win. Big Ben making big wins. All right. Let's see what IBM is looking at. So I don't know what the market cap will be after this. Well, 20% gain. Wait. Here, let's do some math. Did I just type in the stock to bring up the exact same stock thing? Okay, so it was $11 billion, right? It's $8 billion right now. It's going up by nearly 20%, puts it at a $10 billion market cap, $11 billion purchase. So there's about a 10% chance that people think that it's not going to be purchased, at least right now. So if you want to make a 10% gain, if you think that this deal is 100% going to go through, you can make that money pretty quickly by buying Confluent at 10 billion right now for it to go up to 11 billion. Okay. If SpaceX is raising at 800 billion, you got to buy Rocket Labs? Maybe. I don't know. That's like saying I got to buy AMD because Nvidia is $4.5 trillion. IREN, Cypher Mining, Nebius seem obvious buys here. I like Nebius. Yeah. I like that the team is very proven. I know from them from Yandex, and then I don't know. They're extremely smart and capable. I'm not saying that's not true for IREN and Cypher Mining, but I do worry about some of those like Bitcoin mining names that are transitioning into a field that is similar, but not 100%. So that's the only reason why I haven't taken a bet on them. Plus, some of these larger deals that they've been signing, like the margins on the IREN deal look very different than the Microsoft deal with Nebius. Completely different. So I'm just a fan of, of Nebius. But that doesn't mean I'm right on IREN. It's not one that I've looked into long enough. Yeah, there was some short report on Nebius. I don't know the money that's actually backing that short report, but some people had come out against it saying nonsense. What's your thesis on Amazon? Okay, this will be the last thing, and then I'll end up going. It's late now. Amazon is in the perfect space right now for me, where I see them benefiting from every single technological advancement. I mean, like literally every single one. Space, They have Amazon Leo. Full self-driving. They've got a massive logistics and reverse logistics network. What else? Payments. They're one of the largest payment companies in the world. Like they're going to be doing trillions of dollars eventually in payments for their Amazon.com like e-commerce store. So as payments improve, that's going to improve their take rate. Cloud, absolutely massive. All the AI plays that they have the largest cloud company in the world. Amazon Web Services runs like a third of the entire internet. So as this is sort of taking a massive boom and people are going on the cloud to take advantage of the already existing sort of accelerated computing infrastructure that's set up, Amazon's going to benefit from that greatly. Project Kuiper is Project Leo now, or Amazon Leo, low Earth orbit. They changed the name. It's no longer Project Kuiper. Amazon also has a full self-driving thing. They got stakes in Rivian. They have what's the name of the business? Zoox. So like that a lot. Grocery is definitely coming back. That's big. All the healthcare names are benefiting from a lot of the healthcare changes right now and the breakthroughs there. No, I like Leo because it means something. They always have names for all their products, right? Like Alexa and Leo and all that. Like I think that's cool. But Leo actually is low Earth orbit, so it's like a little nod to what it actually is. I think that's fun. But that's sort of my quick thesis on Amazon is they just benefit from every single technological advancement. And I also think that they have the biggest moat of any company because it's a hard asset, like real dollar moat. Okay. Meta has to worry about some new type of social media company coming in and exposing them. Google has to worry about some AI company that exposes them. Okay. These sort of businesses, like you saw how much Google sold off. I'm not saying that will happen. I'm a shareholder in Meta and Google. I don't think that will happen, but it's easy to create software. Okay. Or at least easier. You know what's hard to do? Creating a logistics network that takes warehouses across the entire world, hundreds of billions of dollars. It literally cannot be replicated overnight. Like that, there's no DeepSeek moment for Amazon. It cannot happen. Okay. That's pretty amazing. Their cloud business, I mean, yeah, maybe up for grabs. But their logistics network is only going to strengthen. They're talking about taking on USPS. Like, I mean, like nobody can do what they do. I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, hard to create ASML lithography machines too. I mean, I don't actually share that take. I mean, that there could be a breakthrough moment, and I think it might actually be happening in China. So we don't know. I think maybe China has some lithography breakthroughs that they are not sharing with us, and that's why these Ascend chips are making such massive advancements right now, even though they cannot get a hold of ASML. It's my little theory. I could be wrong, but I actually think that there could be some change there. Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. But that's it for me. If you guys want more of these types of live streams, we do them every single day. We make other videos. I released a SoFi video today and why I'm bullish on that name. Until next time, bye for now.